All right, so here's me trying to answer a couple questions about um, different interview questions that you might have during an interview. First of all, why do you want to become a software engineer / web developer? Um, my answer to this is it's the future. In the future, pretty much everything is going to be handled, at least in my perspective, via the web, and that I want to be a part of that. Most web applications or most solutions that we have right now for problems that we're facing have been solved either through a mobile app or through a web app. And with cloud computing and other bigger, larger solutions to problems, it's only becoming ever more important. The most important example I can think of is Wolfram Alpha, as like a solution that we thought would probably be on hardware, like a calculator for the rest of our lives. Turned out it's the best solution is to have multiple different cloud computing solving math problems in all different types of ways, and then presenting that information to the user. I was able to make it through calculus because of Wolfram Alpha, and more importantly, other kind of relevant softwares that are on the web are like Twitch, YouTube, things that really influence the world and change people's opinions. They're all web apps. And finally, the things that are really impacting my life all the time are web apps. Is that, if I wanted to get investments, I could start up on Robinhood. If I wanted to learn about cryptocurrency, I can just Google it. Everything is available on the internet, and it's pretty much how it should be, and that's what I want to be a part of. Okay, so why do you want to work for this company? So I recently did an interview with Shock, a company that provides ATMs in the United States and possibly, and I think Europe as well. So here's my response. So based on what I could see on your website, I saw that Shock is an ATM producer and provider for multiple different states in the United States, and then as well, it looks like y'all also do currency conversions for European ATMs as well. So the new problems that I'm seeing that y'all are kind of facing right now is in regards to cryptocurrencies and managing those funds and making them relevant to the US dollar likely, and then relatively trading between cryptocurrencies, and then as well the growing cannabis market that is happening almost globally, and being able to be a part of that in the United States, I think would be very important, because at some point all of those people who are making money in cannabis need to be able to save their money in cannabis. So I think that's really exciting that y'all are trying to get in on that market, and that if you really do have a solution for that already, then you're well ahead of the game. As well, I've done traveling abroad myself, and so I understand what it's like to go to an ATM in a different country and not even really necessarily know whether or not you're going to be able to see something in English. And so I think it would be really nice to work for a company that really understood the problems of trying to access money in a different location than you're usually at, and try to do it kind of cheaply and safely as possible. So those are the things that I understand that your current problems, and I'd like to help solve those. All right, so this last question is, when have you worked with a colleague and then they didn't quite, you're having trouble with a colleague, you had a disagreement? In the couple of times I've worked in groups, most of the time it's been going great, but in one circumstance, there was a student whenever I was in college who wasn't necessarily showing up for meetings consistently, and then as well as it was a little bit hard to get the full amount of work that we kind of expected from them to be completed from week to week basis. What I tried to do, because I was the team lead at the time, was early on try to reach out to them and communicate to them that we can easily achieve the goals that we set for ourselves in this group, as long as we can kind of get back on track and have an expectation for how much work they're going to be able to put into the team in the future. So what was important is that I wanted to reassure them that I wanted to understand what was going on outside the class. Is that, like, for instance, whenever I did talk to them, they were taking physics, and physics at UNT is notoriously hard, and they were spending a huge amount of time writing physics problems rather than writing code, which later on, like whenever I had to take physics, I completely understood. So I try to level with them and try to explain to them that, like, okay, well, like, let's try to lower the amount of work you're going to do, and um, we're just going to like try to work around that kind of issue, and then as well explain to them that they don't need to be worried about us being mad. More so, they just need to be willing to communicate and reach out to us and be like, hey, I'm having a hard time with this. This is taking a lot longer than I need to, and like I got other things I got to take care of. Hey, can you help me with this? um, and we want you to share, the code space and the code base and work together on that. So I just want to reassure that team member that we're gonna be willing to talk to them and not just shut them out and shut them down and fail them. So that's not what my goals were with the course, and that's not my goals with any projects that I have. Is to shut out a teammate and tell them that they're worthless.